Alright, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? This is Joseki Lecture 12. It's been a really busy time for me in the year, and damn, it's really hard to find time to do videos. But very happy that today I got like 20-30 minutes to work on this. So let's get started. Last time I believe we covered, we basically ended this Joseki, right? Both the high space extension and the low 3 space extension, as well as a white's Kema defense, as well as the jump defense. So we talk about some of the follow-up, some of the secret weapons. So if you haven't checked out them out, it's Joseki Lecture 9, 10, and 11. Today we will move on to something else. So obviously, every time we see our opponent approaches, the first thing that should come into your mind is this kick. Well, that's because you watched my Joseki lectures from before. Another thing that I see people play a lot, obviously, is the Kema defense, right? This is obviously going to be our main topic in the future. Today, I would like to talk about a more niche variation before we move on to any main variations. So that is an old Joseki, is for white attach on top. So, I mean, this is an interesting Joseki, right? And definitely recommend you to try this out in your casual games. But I personally would not play this one in tournament because just because I think most of my opponents, right, like around 6 dan, 7 dan, they know really well these Josekis, and after we both play accurately, my win rate is going to be dropped by 2 to 3%, I'd say. So, which is why you don't see this move in professional games at all, because 2% to 3% win rate is really like huge for them. But I mean, for me, it isn't. But I would not like to lose 2 or 3% or go into a game that is not so easy for me to manage. Nevertheless, this is a Joseki, so if your opponent plays this, you still need to know what to do. Alright, so let's talk about how you should handle this one, right? So a possible variation is obviously for us the Hane, right? And this is just the most intuitive way, right? They're trying to press us, we try to counterattack by not letting white press us down. If white plays the double Hane, this is a trick called the falling pillar. This is covered in my trick series, trick 2, the falling pillar. So you can go ahead and check that one out. So just to recap a little bit, so black can just extend, right? Very patient play, and then if white makes the tiger's mouth, we can Atari and then extend. Very patient. And now white's to follow up with the trick, he will try to push you, right? And we can just keep extending on the fourth line, and then after this turn, exchanging with this c3. We can happily go ahead and make a really solid group with a lot of territory, right? And turns out this is going to be slightly better for black. So white's better move here, which is not mentioned in that video, is probably to stay rational and play out this one. That is to extend here. Black will still play out this one, exchanging with the c3, right? So anytime black plays the e2, we have to defend at c3. If you defend at d2, well, that is going to be a problem. So we can go ahead and there's going to be a lot of problems in the corner. White might lose everything here. So that is going to be a big problem. So white will defend like this, and black can make a smaller shape, and white needs to eventually fix this, right? So he can go ahead and fix like this. So this is going to be pretty much equal, right? Except probably black just gained 1 to 2%, which is really irrelevant in our games. So that's some follow-up for the following pillar, right? So that was not covered in my trick video. So very good to know, but that's not our main topic. So we'll talk about the Joseki, not the trick. So the Joseki is for white to extend up to the 5th line. So this is a better Joseki move. And now what does black play? I think most of my viewers, you know, you will have a very different understanding before and after this video. So I think most players would go ahead and just extend at e3, right? So this is, well, I mean, I really cannot criticize this move, but it's not a move that I recommend you to play, right? Like, because white can block at a d3. Now black needs to think about what to play. It's I won't say it's awkward, but I just say it's a little bit difficult for my viewers to manage. What do you play as black? First of all, the push is not going to work. So correct move actually for white is to block here. Obviously, if you watch some videos online, a lot of players would recommend you to extend. I've seen some videos like that as well. So things like this, and they end up saying that, oh well, white got a lot of territory that compensates for what black got outside. This is indeed a fine position for white. However, white could have done better, which is what happens when AI came out, gave us a lot more interesting results, which is to block at e5. That's actually the correct move. Well, back in the days, you would be, you know, if you have any teachers that will say, oh, no, this is risky because now black can go ahead and cut white. And the reason this is risky is because after this variation, black has a Tsuji, that is the kosumi, at b4. Now white is in an awkward situation, right? So if you Atari here, I connect, white will lose the liberty fight. And of course, if white plays something else, that's also not going to work out because we have this kind of moves. So Ataring from the d6 is indeed very risky. But now white has a very good continuation. That is the counterattack at g3. Black will absolutely have to Atari. And now black needs to make a very important exchange, that is to play the d2. Let's assume black just, without thinking, just keep crawling. White will get a d2, not only make his shape stronger, but also black's eye space is destroyed. So this is a very, very critical move that is going to make black suffer. So now black is in a very difficult situation. So black cannot allow that. So black needs to make this exchange as soon as he can. Okay, after this exchange, black rolls. White cannot allow this Atari, so he extends. And now black connects, right? Like if he wants to put any pressure onto the corner, he needs to connect himself at e2. And now white can just go ahead and break out from the 3rd line. What black extends, we keep going. After a few exchanges, white can definitely go ahead and play out this one. Black needs to make a life, right? If white peeps at f1, this is black is dead. So black needs to make himself alive. The d1 and h1 is in a miai situation. And now white can go ahead and fix his weakness. When black turns, white can actually hane and connect. And there's not much black can do in the corner, right? Like if you Atari here and extend, we can go ahead and kill the corner. If you Atari at the c4, well, there's just basically nothing that you can do, right? So if you turn here, I can just kill you with more liberties, basically. All right, so there's no problem here. The best what black can do in the corner is the clamp. Well, in this case, we can just make a tiger's mouth. There's no problem. White is definitely alive. Why is he alive? Well, if you clamp, we can Atari here. You have to connect, and we can just block you like this. So this is alive. If you go for this one, you just don't have enough time, right? Like, first of all, again, yeah, this is not going to work out. I have 3 liberties. Not to say this is going to become my sente. So yeah, there's absolutely not much black can do, right? So so black's better move is probably to play some move over here, and as we can see, white's outside is stronger than black's outside because black has a lot of weakness. White has a bigger territory than black because black has, I mean, after at some point this throw in is going to be a problem for black. So this is, black really does not have enough points, and white just has a lot more points in the corner basically. All right, so that's a lot of details that explains to you why this push and cut is not going to work for black, right? Indeed, after this push and cut, your win rate drops to very, very low, right? Like very like below 20%. So do not push and cut if you reach this position. Now black has 2 choices, but really I recommend 1 choice. That is to play the old school K3. So that's the old school Joseki. That's what people play back in the days. So still play out this one. This one is not too bad. In when AI looks at it, it just says, well, it's fine. It's not bad. So white will end the Joseki with the D7. And the reason is that this prevents any possibility to push and cut, right? So this ladder is going to work for white all the time. So that's being said, this ends the Joseki, and white got the corner, black got the side. This is, I think it's a bit harder for black to manage. The reason being that at some point down the line, white can make use of this cut to create repetition, right? If you play out this one, white can make use of H6 as a sente. So black needs to add another move. So white can make use of black's weakness over here later on. And it's not too sure how black's gonna break into white's corner. In fact, it's probably, there's no way to do that. The best you can do is later on probably just you know, tells white, hey, your territory stops right here. That's probably the best you can do. I think it's playable. If you like black in this situation, you can go ahead and play this one out. Very, very, very simple, right? Very simple to remember. But later on, there's definitely some weird stuff. Weird stuff at some point. We can look for the opportunity to clamp here. Look for the opportunity to peep in, because if white has a stone at M3, this H3 becomes a very good move to follow up with. So, so if you don't like this one, right, you can definitely choose something else, which is the move that I recommend you. That is to play a more interesting looking move, right? That is to play the kosumi. This is a better move, right? So now white does not want to play this one because because white's territory is not enclosed, right? Black can now go ahead and play out this one, and that's, the stone at E2 is a lot more efficient than the stone at E3 because I never wanted to cut you in the first place. But this is very good for my territory now. So so that's not how white defends. This D3 looks very weird. So white's best defense here is just to play out the kosumi. That's very solid, right? So if you attach here, by the way, this creates a lot of weakness for white. White pretty much needs to worry about the cutting points, and he needs to play out this c4. So this is slightly better for black because black can just play out this k3. Is it better? I'd say it's probably equal position, right? So this is almost like a Joseki we know, right? That I will later on cover. So it's like this. Black plays out this one, and then white decides to exchange this, which is not necessary. But this is what it comes down to. But I would really recommend you to play out the c3. That's very solid. It makes the group very solid. If black plays out something else, we can just go ahead and expand towards the top side. So that is the variation I recommend because it's a simple to remember. All right, so let's see if there's something else that I want to cover. All right, so sometimes, maybe let's give it some sort of context. Sometimes when black has a moyo like this, right? Sometimes we could consider this this 3-3 Joseki. So if black blocks at Q17, we can pull the stone back, and then if this happens, this is locally a better variation for white. So black is definitely suffering from a loss right now, yeah, and this is absolutely no for black. You cannot play out this variation because this stone at P14 looks very, very weird. It's not doing anything, and white's every stone is doing a lot, right? You cannot remove any stone for white because they're all very useful. So in terms of efficiency, white just beats black because of black's P14 stone. So as black, you should not, I guess, stick with your moyo. It's time for you to play flexibly and to be very flexible and transfer your influence, which is for you to play the tiger's mouth. And now white goes ahead and basically try to destroy black's influence over here, and black adds a move to prevent any sort of problem going on here. White can add another move to make sure his corner is completely comfortable, and black transfer his influence towards the bottom side. This is a very situational variation for white. So the result is that this is slightly better for black. You might not be able to appreciate why this is slightly better for black right now, but just very simply explained, black still has half of his moyo over here, and black got half of moyo, probably a little bit more than half of the moyo over here. So originally black had the entire moyo, now it's split into half plus 0.6. So black's actually fine in terms of his development, and he's very thick over here, not only his R6 stone is expanding himself, but also putting pressure onto white's Q4 stone, obviously later on, black can further bully white's corner by squeezing white's corner all onto the second line, and then this is a great outcome for black. Probably playable for white, but I don't recommend you to try this variation unless you have a very valid reason for you to play out the variation. Probably a valid reason is is when you have a stone that is really close to this one. Let's say like this, and if this happens, we can probably think about potentially playing out this one. So we can think about making this a stone really inefficient. But that's very situational, as I've said before. All right, so that's a lot of material. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can put them into your practice. Let's just quickly recap. So we talk about black approaches, white attaches, and black honey. We extend, and we briefly mention this one, right? This is equal position for both sides, with white having some follow-ups later on that black has to deal with very accurately. So if you don't like the fact that you give a white a lot of follow-ups, you can play the kosumi. That is also my recommendation. Here you can add another move at k3, or if you're a very efficient person, you can go ahead and temporarily postpone that fix. So that's also a great variation. The other variation that I talk about is very situational. It's for you to go into c3 and make yourself comfortable with the corner, but white has nothing to worry about. He can just transfer his moyo over to the other side. Alright, so if you liked the video, give a like, and don't forget to subscribe to get future Joseki lectures. And thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you guys next time.